Alright, I've traveled off to the east, and we're ready to continue down south. We have already explored southwest, so we're gonna have to go down and then immediately right. Because left we already found was a dead end. We tried to make it to Elfheim, I think we were trying to get to, and it turned out that there was no route there. It's blocked by a mountain. I'm noticing there's also a port here. So, I don't know how we would even get to that. We would need to drive the boat all the way around either the west or all the way around... Well, I mean, yeah, we'd have to go all the way around no matter what, because the only way out into the ocean right now is the gap off to the left, over by below the dwarves. So the only way to get there is going all the way around, either up or down the entire continent, which is insane. I'm gonna run up here quickly, because I'm pretty sure this is just gonna be a dead end. But I do want to check it anyways, just in case, because there might be someone up here, maybe asking us to like make a bridge or something. But it looks like a dead end on the map. So we'd have to either boat really far, or get a flying boat, or make some kind of bridge of some sort. It does look to be a dead end, like we thought, and we've already been off to the left there. So all we have left to do right now is just head down south and see if there's anything there we can do. And hopefully we'll get some kind of... hopefully we'll get the float stones down there, actually. That would be really cool. I would love to have the floating boat, not only so we could travel up to the northern continent, but also I feel like that would just make travel easier in general. Unless we end up having to fight a bunch of those, I forget what they're called, but basically I'm talking about the flying birds that turn you to stone. I'm guessing that there might be a lot of those in the air, just because obviously they're a flying type of monster. So if we're in the air, obviously there's probably going to be more of them. So hopefully that's not the case, because every time we get hit by their gold attack, we end up having to essentially spend like... I don't even remember how much it costs to buy one of those, but I'm assuming it's like 150 bucks. And I'm assuming they also don't drop 150 gil, although we just killed... Uh-oh. I was gonna say we did just kill some wolves and it dropped 116 gold, but we're gonna have to postpone that thought because we've hit yet another dead end. Okay, so here's what we're gonna have to do. I'm gonna head to the port just above where my arrow is, and I'm gonna go to the right and see if I can make it into the water in that little gap there. And if I can't, then instead we'll have to head to the port just below Elfheim. Maybe rest up at Elfheim, or maybe not, depending on how damaged we get by that point. And then we can just head east and either see if we can get into the river, or see if we can go straight to the port to the far east. Either way, we're gonna have to go on a big boat journey. I really did not expect this place to be a dead end. But yeah, we are gonna have to go around the entire continent, just like I was thinking about earlier being a huge pain. But it honestly shouldn't take that long. So I'm gonna fly around to the parts that we've already been to, maybe get to Elfheim, and I'll continue once I'm there. Alright, I've quickly run over to Elfheim. So we are on the port to the south. I did have to go all the way around, but now we can actually head into the new areas. I'm hoping that we can go into the port that's just to the right of us, into like the river. But I have a sneaking suspicion that we're not actually going to be able to. And we're probably going to have to go around. Yep, it is too thin, just like at the port, or rather at the lake or river above in the upper quadrant rather than the open ocean. We also couldn't fit in there, obviously. So we are going to have to go all the way around. and make our way over to the port off to the east, which shouldn't be too bad. We're just fighting the same old enemies over and over. And we have been able to one-shot the big sharks. We just need to be careful with the eyes, because even though we're so strong, we can still get stunned. And if they stun a lot of our strong characters, we're gonna end up taking a lot more damage than we need to. So, still gotta think sometimes, as long as they have eyes or sharks with them, but if it's simple enemies, it's really not a problem. Plus, we can just usually send our big hitters on the big guys, and then we can just turn on auto, and they should be able to take out the littler guys all on their own without any problem. I don't know if I just got unlucky or what, but the Sahagin Chiefs did actually seem to have quite a bit more HP now, so we might have crossed some sort of like in-game barrier and the enemies have gotten stronger or something, because they're tanking quite a bit more now. Or maybe Groq and Yellow were just unlucky and did small amounts of damage, I'm not sure. Either way, it's not too big of an issue. And we're almost to the port now. We keep getting stopped by monsters. But we're literally this close to the first port. I'm not sure how exploring this area is going to work. Because obviously there's a lot of rivers. And I don't think there's any ports, at least none that I have seen. So I don't know how we're going to actually, like, cross the rivers. Maybe there will be some bridges or something. And immediately we're encountering a ton of poisonous enemies. I'm definitely going to try and take out the scorpions first, because they're obviously the tankiest and biggest problem. And that actually went pretty well. None of them even attacked us. We might have just gotten lucky. Oh, okay. I can't tell if we're just getting lucky or if these monsters around here just aren't up to the task of taking down such a strong team. But we're doing pretty good. I'm going to explore south first, because it looks like more of a dead end. But I'm not sure. Surely there's something over here. Oh, it leads to the inside of the moon. Okay, this is actually quite cool. I knew that there was probably going to be something inside of the moon, but having a town here is really cool. I thought it would be like a shrine or something. And we have a ton of money still. I'm not sure how much. We've got over 100,000 gold. So we definitely have enough to look around and see what they've got to offer. Probably going to be all the same items. I was actually told that, and I knew the Phoenix Down wasn't in this game, but I was actually told that the high potions are also not in this game. Or at least not in the original. So I am going to try and avoid using high potions. At least for now. I haven't really had any need for them anyways, so it hasn't really mattered at all. But it is interesting to just keep in mind. Mithril Mail we've already got. Mithril Shield we've already got. Buckler. Interesting, so we can give her a buckler. Definitely, I'll buy Risa a buckler, absolutely. Mithril Helm we've already got, and Mithril Gloves we can buy as well, which is really nice. We can replace his steel gloves. What was the difference? Oh wow, it not only does it give us 2 defense, it also gives us 1 more evasion. I feel like mithril in this world is like a lightweight material. Because when I think of it in my head, I always imagine it as heavier than steel. Or like anything weaker than it, obviously heavier than like gold and stuff. But apparently it seems pretty light, which is honestly really convenient. We could now sell our old iron shield and our steel gloves, which is cool. Everything else we should keep. Actually, I don't know how we have staffs, but we can sell those. And I'm going to sell the saber. I assume we don't need it if it's in here. So not much of a problem. I still never bought that mithril armor, I think it was. For block, I'm sticking with the iron armor because it wasn't that big of a difference. And so far we're doing pretty good anyways in terms of tanking, so I'm not really that worried about it. That building I'm assuming is for reviving, but I suppose I should check. Usually the unmarked ones are for reviving people, so it should be the same at this town. It is. So we know where to go for that. I'm curious if this town has any magic. It does. My husband is always traveling, and in the little time he is home, he sleeps all day. I think he needs to get his priorities straight. I'm sorry about that. I hope you find a happy marriage. I'm gonna save looking at the magic until afterwards, just because it's so expensive. Usually. Oh wow, Mithril Sword is an upgrade for both of them. We do already have a Mithril Hammer. And a Mithril Axe. Well, let's see what we have equipped right now. We've got a Great Axe, which the Mithril Axe is increased damage and accuracy. So I think I'm going to go with that for him, because he's our big heavy hitter. And then we can buy a Mithril Sword for Risa, which then lets us sell our Worm Killer and our Coral Sword. Oh, what? Oh, I equipped the wrong thing on him. I was so confused. But yeah, we can sell our Worm Killer and our Coral Sword now, which is nice, because they're both equal damage. So I didn't want to sell one and keep the other. It felt like, I don't know, I might be missing out on something, but now we can happily sell that. Mithril Knife is actually a downgrade for Yellow. Yellow must have something really good. And everything else we've already got. What do we even have on Yellow? I don't... A Power Staff? I don't even remember getting the Power Staff, but that's pretty cool. I think that should be everything. We should be safe to go check on the magic now. This guy's by some gravestones. Z, this is probably her husband who's always sleeping. I'm gonna look back here first too. Actually, this is probably... Yeah, I figured that was just gonna leave. I should not have gone through there. Now we gotta run all the way back up north. But this is a pretty small town. It didn't have much in it, which is fine. We're just gonna have to keep exploring and find some other stuff. Stona! Okay, that's actually really good. Because now the problem we were facing of fighting those birds, potentially, if we end up getting a float stone, is completely mitigated because we can just use magic, which is really good. Transports the party out of dungeons. So again, I'm assuming we would need some, like, rogue or something in order to use this. And I'm still kind of happy that we don't need it because calculating my stuff to escape is also half the fun. Raises the party's defense is really, really good. I like that a lot. And raises the party's evasion is also quite good. I'm not sure which one to pick, though. I'm gonna go Cure-Stone, obviously. But this one is probably not going to be used very often, unless we're, like, fighting stone enemies. So we can probably use level 6 magic for mostly this stuff. And then only use Stona if we're fighting that type of enemy. So as long as we're not fighting those kinds of enemies, we can happily just spam out Protera and Invisera however much we want. I think I'm gonna go with Raises Defense. Because while evasion is good, defense is gonna be more consistent. Because even if you have 10% more evasion, it doesn't mean that that is ever gonna proc. Protection is always gonna proc, so we're gonna go with protection instead. And now we can check on some dark magic. Let's see what we got. Thundaga deals lightning damage to all enemies. Of course. Well, I should make a quick decision. I should wait. We've got Death. Instantly kills one enemy. Probably isn't going to work on a boss. So I'm not going to use this very often, if ever. So I'm just going to pass on that one. Quake calls an earthquake to swallow enemies. I don't even know what that could even mean. And paralyzes one enemy. So I'm gonna get Thundaga, because Thundaga is awesome. No questions asked. He's the only one that can cast this stuff, so I suppose maybe I will actually give him Death. I mean, Death is just not gonna work on a boss, but neither is Stun, I don't think. So I guess I'll just use Quake. Or, Death. And then we can use it on, like, a strong enemy that we won't be able to one-shot with anyone else, but isn't actually a boss. And if that ever occurs, then we can use that. Because right now, I feel like it's very specific. Oh, we can go over here. But yeah, right now I feel like that's very specific because I feel like we're strong enough where all the enemies can kind of just get blasted. Like if we use Thundaga, it's probably going to kill everything anyways. But later on, there might be enemies so strong, like regular enemies so strong that that death spell might be pretty good. So I'll save it for that. And let's check out what the hell is going on here. They've got a whole little ring. I'm presuming the blue guy is more important. I am Lucan. I see a cycle of wrath, a dim light guided by destiny, about which our entire future revolves. Huh. Well done, warriors of light. You've defeated the fiend of earth and restored the crystal's light. Sadly, this has drawn the notice of the fiend of fire, who was not to have stirred for another 200 years. Take this canoe, what? And go face the fiend in Mount Groq? Maybe the canoe only works in rivers, and that's how I travel across the rivers or something? I have no idea. I mean, it's gotta be, right? Because I probably can't use it to cross up into the northern continent. But like, what else would the canoe be for besides rivers? He's saying the same thing. The volcano Mount Groq rises to the west of this town. The fiend of fire long slept within its passages, but she has awoken 200 years before her time. Vanquish her before the world is consumed in flame. Bring the light of the 4 crystals to us, warriors of light. Only you can do this. When all 4 crystals shine once more, return here. All will be revealed. Okay. Where the fiend of fire passes. Blah 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 blah. Blah blah. 4 fiends plot to rule the world, both past and present. The fiend of wind appeared 400 years ago, followed 200 years later by the fiend of water. Together they laid waste to the civilization in the north. Okay, so wind and water are in the north, and earth and fire are in the south, which is where we are now. We've already defeated earth. It looks like now we gotta go defeat fire. The source of the 4 forces are the altars scattered throughout the city, throughout the world. Defeat the fiends that have taken root there and lift the crystal you carry to the altar. The crystal should regain its brilliance. Interesting. Okay. So that must be what we already did once. Fire, earth, water, and wind. Blah, 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 blah. The light that once shone within them is now lost. Okay, yeah. Pretty much everyone's saying the same thing. Go collect the 4 crystals. Come back here. Go beat the fire guy next because he's going to destroy everything, allegedly. So I guess we just need to travel west along the river. We should be able to go in the river now, I'm hoping, now that we have a canoe. And I am going to sleep here, I gotta remember, in order to actually save my progress and wake up here in case there's some sort of terrifying, you know, regular water demon in the river, which there probably isn't, but who knows. Yeah, we can go in the canoes now. That's awesome. We look like a little nightman. And there is some terrifying monsters. I'm going to assume the white Groq is obviously stronger than the others. And I'm going to divide up my attacks and see how well we're doing. The white Groq was actually able to tank a hit from block. And the fish were able to tank a hit from Risa. So these guys are definitely very strong. 20 damage from the fish is crazy. I do not want to get hit by the Groq. And he does 100 damage. Okay, so basically, we're going to need to focus our heavy hitters on the Groq. Or else, we're going to end up taking a lot of damage. Hopefully Risa can finish off the top one. And our other 2 can take out the bottom one. 3 rather. I am also very happy to see Risa pulling out the shield and blocking. That is so satisfying. Now Block is not the only one that can block. I do want to try and avoid being in the water as much as possible, just because it does so much damage to us. But I also want to explore all these different areas. Like, I want to go south just to see what's down here. But we're going to end up fighting a lot of monsters like this guy. Hopefully he's not as strong as the others. It looks like he can have... It looks like he has a lot of defense because he's tanking a lot. but his attack rate is very low, so we were able to just wail on him and kill him before he could attack. But the fact that he could tank that much makes me very nervous of how much he can actually deal damage. Because if he's tanking that much, if he finally gets a hit out, it's probably going to do a lot. But we'll have to see. There is a desert here that we've gotten to, which doesn't seem to have anything in it, but I'm assuming... Nope, it's just a regular enemy. I thought we were going to end up fighting something special, or at least like a scorpion or something, but nope, just a troll. We did get a new background, which is kind of cool, but nothing too crazy yet. What in the world is that? Okay, I'm going to cast some AoE magic because I don't like these guys. And they're making me nervous. Very, very nervous. I have taken a lot of damage already from certain characters, so I'm going to cast a Cure. Actually, I'm going to cast a Heal. And then for you, we're going to test out our new Thundaga spell and see how that goes. Oh, these guys aren't doing that much damage, actually. Oh, never mind. The only reason they weren't doing that much damage is because they were attacking Block, and Block is an absolute unit. I don't know if these guys are considered water enemies. Oh, it looks like they are, because they're in the swamp, because that did a lot of damage. And we got a lot of XP for that too, which is really good. I am going to want to try and get out of this swamp sooner rather than later if it's going to be filled with enemies that strong. But we were able to barely get out. Oh, I've accidentally cast lightning and fire AoE spells on these wolves. I really got to be more careful about that. I've done that so many times now, but at least it's Blizzard that we're wasting and not the huge lightning one. Oh no, they survived and we wasted both our things of mana. But it's fine. We are doing our current exploration run anyways, so it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go back and look over here just in case. Yep, there's definitely nothing there. And of course, okay, at least it's only tarantulas. Tarantulas we can deal with. I'm not as worried about tarantulas, and it's a good excuse to set up our regular attacks so that we don't keep on wasting up magic. We are gonna need to use the Poisona spell on Block though. That's a little bit more mana being wasted, but it's really not a problem. Poisona is purely for Poisona. It doesn't have anything else, I don't think. At least no really useful spells, no healing, so it should not really be a problem for us at all. And where do we go next? I guess we go south to see what's in this little area. Oh no, there's nothing there. We can see it from here. Okay, so then we just go back up the way we came then, which should lead us somewhere new. Oh no, I'm wasting Poisona. God. I wish that I could set it manually so that they would only do regular attack when I set it to speed mode, because that would really make that a lot more convenient. It looks like we need to travel north up the river, and that should take us somewhere. It looks like maybe that's to the volcano, but I'm not actually sure. It's hard to tell. Now for these guys, I'm going to focus on the White Groq, and I'm going to cast a weaker AoE lightning, and hopefully it'll kill everything, just because they should be weak to it innately. It is going to kill the Groq at least, which is definitely the biggest problem, and it hit them all for 100. So that's actually really quite good. I thought it was only going to do like 80, so I will happily take that. And I'm hoping, yeah, we are going to be able to pretty much one-shot these guys with our two heavy hitters. And we were even able to kill them with Groq and Yella just from 2 regular hits and the lightning, which is really good reference for future, because having to use Block and Risa attacks on every single one of those fish would just slow us down a lot. I'm going to do the exact same thing I did a second ago. Use the Thundara to weaken everyone, use Block and Risa to hit the alligator as much as we can. Hopefully he dies in this turn. We are going to need to heal Yella. They might actually die here if one of the fish attacks him, so we gotta keep our fingers crossed and hope that he doesn't die here. Or hope that the Groq does die here, which he does, thank God. And we're going to have to worry a lot about healing now. So I think we're going to use Healara? Everyone's taken quite a bit of a beating, so we are going to use Healara. And I'm going to actually defend with him, because I don't think he can kill anyone. And I really don't want him to die. So we're just going to leave him to defend. Hopefully Risa and Block can both get a kill. Oh, and Risa defends, which is really nice. And now we can just spam attack with everyone. And he does miss Yellow, which is amazing. Because if he hit him, that could have actually been a big problem for us. I honestly probably should have defended with him, now thinking back on it. But it is what it is. It all worked out in the end, and that's what matters. These rivers are confusing. Every time there's a split, I get lost. Now, it looks like left is the way we're supposed to go. But I'm curious where right goes. It looks like right goes to like a whole new area. Or rather, it goes to an area we've been at before. So I'm actually going to go right, like a sociopath, and try and knock out everything. Because if we can do that in order... Uh-oh. Okay, he didn't do as much damage as I thought he was going to do. But if we can do that and take it all in order... before we... Oh, never mind. That's probably going to get blown up at some point then. I was going to say if we could go do all that first. Then, after we fight the boss, we can just go straight up to the northern continent. But it looks like we've got a lot more problems to worry about other than that. First of all, we've got 2 new fish. I'm pretty sure the ones we were fighting up to now were blue, but I could be wrong. We've definitely got 2 new alligators, or crocodiles rather, because the ones we were fighting before were blue, or white, I think. Ochu is the same, and the real problem is the Hydra. That thing terrifies me. I'm going to cast... Fyraga's they're probably resistant to that, so I'm going to cast Blizzara. You can cast a regular heal, because everyone's going to need it here pretty soon. And you definitely need to cast Thundaga. That's going to be our heaviest hitter on these enemies. And we just need to pray that Yella survives, and that it's enough with the Blizzara and the Thundaga to kill some of the weaker enemies. Oh wow! Okay, the Hydra was not as strong as I thought. I'm also assuming that the Hydra is probably a dragon-type enemy, because it's kind of like a dragon. So I'm assuming that that's probably how that correlates, and then the dragon-type weapon does more damage to him. But obviously we don't have that anymore, and we don't have the water-type weapon anymore, so neither of those helped us, obviously. Yella's doing fine on HP. Everyone's doing fine. I'm gonna cast 1 heal, just 1, and that should be good enough. And then I'm gonna use a potion on Yella. And now everyone's pretty close to being capped out. So that's not too much of a problem anymore. Now we just gotta go around and find our way into this volcano. I'm assuming that we just need to... Oh god, I'm casting magic on accident again. And it's a really expensive high-level spell to waste on these guys. Oh my god. I'm throwing right now, but it's fine. I need to just stop using auto attack. It looks like we just need to cross. And what? Enter through the bottom, maybe? Okay, yeah, enter through the bottom. Fortunately, there's probably going to be... Oh god. How are we even going to get across this? We might be, like, stuck. But yeah, I was saying, fortunately, there's probably not going to be any more water enemies. If I had to guess. Obviously, because there's lava. But, you know, that's obviously going to make our lightning spells a lot less effective. Can we canoe in this? Oh, no. Okay, that's probably damaging everyone on the team. The longer that we're in that, which is really bad. We're gonna have to be very careful with this. Keep our movement in there to a minimum. And we need to try and I don't know what the word is, but basically monopolize, like, diagonal movement. And just use that as much as humanly possible. Because, obviously, diagonal movement doesn't count as 2 blocks. Even though you're technically traveling 2 blocks, it only counts as 1. So we are going to try and use that as much as possible. And hopefully that will help us get through without taking as much damage, but it's still going to be a lot of damage on us. Apparently we don't actually have to go very far. I thought this was going to be like a whole big area we have to explore, but it seems more like we just need to run over here and then we're done. But of course there's going to be more. Gonna look at the map. There's several entrances and there's chests all throughout this place. So I guess we're gonna just run through and collect all the chests. And then try and exit through the door on the left to go further down. However, I'm honestly assuming that a lot of these rooms are going to have monsters, like, in the chests. So there's honestly a very high chance that after that room with, like, 10 chests or however many in it, we're probably going to just have to turn around and return home, because we do not have the amount of healing required to kill that many monsters. Wow, this is a lot of enemies actually for this. Fortunately, we do know that if we sick just block and then our 2 weaker hitters on the bottom left guy, it does seem to be enough to kill him, which is very good for us. It worked last time we did that at least. Ooh, but they just knocked out our 2 heavy hitters. That's actually a big problem. Oh wait, no. Okay, we're chilling. I always forget that everyone wakes up from that super fast. I always confuse sleep with the stun, which is, you know, the stun is just significantly weaker than the sleep. I don't know why. When they balanced the game, they just made sleep, like, do nothing. But I'm honestly kind of happy about it, because if I ended up getting slept and just stuck like that all the time, it would just be so much worse of a situation for us. This is obviously definitely supposed to be harder than the Earth Dungeon, by the way, because we never had to fight more than 1 Earth Elemental in the Earth Dungeon. Meanwhile, here, in the Lava Chest-esque dungeon, we're immediately fighting 2. I'm also pretty sure that that helmet isn't going to help any of us, but we can at least look. I'm pretty sure nobody can wear it, yeah, except for you, but you already have a mithril helm, so that doesn't help us at all. But at least it gives us some money, I guess. We've got a Hill Gigas here, which at this point aren't as much of a threat as they were before, but they're still not easy. They're definitely still not easy, and we're definitely still taking quite a bit of damage from them. I also want to keep my fingers crossed that these guys continue to attack Risa and block only, because I theorize that if they go for Yella, they might just immediately knock him down to 1 hit, which is going to cause a lot of problems for me. We're actually low enough where we can safely cast Hilara, and everyone should be significantly better. That actually got Yella 1 HP from maxed out, which is pretty awesome. Everyone's doing pretty good now. The lowest one is probably Risa, but that should be fine. This area is so big. I'm not sure if I should keep exploring or if I should just turn around for now, because that room with all those chests is going to be a huge pain. But I say that we should defeat these guys and just leave it there for now. Pick it up next week. You guys are going to have to wait. So I'm going to end it here. And next week, I'll decide whether or not we continue after the big chest room. I am going to say that we should go on ahead and do the big chest room. But after that, we're probably going to end up turning around because it's just gonna be too much, I think. So also, this is the first time we've ever been inflicted by dark, and first of all, it doesn't really do much, it seems. And second of all, it gives us some cool shades. We got some awesome sunglasses when we were affected by dark. But I'm gonna stop there, and we'll continue this exploration next time. We finally found an awesome new dungeon. The first two dungeons looked pretty similar, but this one looked way different, and that's really exciting. So we'll keep going next time. Bye bye.